Sundays Live. I'm, of course, Josh Blazer from Game Wisdom, and as always, my co-host from Nexus Games, Sharky. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing okay. I want to try something real quick. Let me
Uh-oh.
know in chat how this works out. But I'm going to play us some background music really, really quietly, and hopefully it doesn't end up being really, really loud, which is what I'm afraid of. And Josh is going to talk at the same time, and let me know if you guys can hear everything clearly, if it is just background music or if it's too loud. All right, let's go. Go for it, Josh.
All right. Well, this week I am dealing with a bit of a migraine. We had heavy snow, then it stopped. Now we're having more snow, and now it's rain. So I'm feeling like pressure, like right here in my face. I just took my medicine, so if I fall asleep during the cast, Shark can, he can do both the sides of the conversation, right?
What's the thought about it? Is it the song or is it the because I don't care about the song because there's a lot of songs on here, or is it the audio level? The audio levels is what I care about. Yeah, but how's the audio levels?
Again, the joys of getting feedback from people, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're getting that. So far, what's been going on this week? Well, that's good. I'm thinking about getting some ambient music for the channel. But this week has been the Steam Festival, and that meant playing lots and lots and lots of demos, which I'm trying to remember some of the big ones off the top of my head. I really like Dream Cities, Loop Hero. Played a lot of adventure game demos. I'm going to be working on a video post about creating a good demo and how it is different from making a prologue, as we talked about in a earlier episode.
Yeah.
Any demos that stood out to you that you've had a chance to play, Shark?
Oh, a lot. And I'm looking at the audio levels when you're not talking, and they're pretty much as high as you are when you are talking. So the audio levels is definitely off.
I still say we need a barbershop quartet here to do the background. Just get the band from Cuphead. They can sing. Anything else happening? We've officially hit over 7,100 subscribers, I believe. So thank you, everybody. We are getting ever so closer to becoming a smallish, medium-sized channel here on YouTube.
No, you're upgrading to a small channel from an insignificant one. That's where it's at now. And see, my channel just doesn't even exist at all.
Mm-hmm. I'll have all the pools of a Z-list celebrity, right? Or I'll go from a Z to a Z minus, maybe.
No. See, you're not even on the alphabet. You're still on new numbers. In the billions. and maybe once you hit 10K, you'll finally get to Z.
Mm-hmm.
Or Z minus. As for demos that I played that I really liked, I played Loop Hero, and the actual map sprites and everything, I think they need some work. But everything else art-wise in the game is really, really good, and like the gameplay seemed to be really, really, really good. It seems like they got their gameplay Loop Hero down.
There you go. I sent you another one last night, Floppy Night. Did you check out that one yet?
Not yet. But the other one I checked out was The Last Spell. And
I still need to replay that one.
I'm really liking it, but it's
very hard.
Too difficult. Let's put it that way. And that could be because of the way they have the demo stacked, or it could be issues with the game itself. But like your health doesn't recover fully, and your magic does not recover fully when you go through there. through, a day kind of thing. And unless you're just spamming the hell out of your mana or taking tremendous amounts of damage, and sometimes both, like it's basically impossible to even make it through the very first wave kind of thing. And if you lose a single hero on the very first wave,
you're done.
You're done. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And like that was going with a topic that we were talking about on the Discord channel about when a game is so challenging or the difficulty is so spiky that you can't play it any other way except for, the perfect way.
Yeah.
And like to me, that just gets very boring. I tried out the demo for a game, this Carrier Fest. It's kind of like an old school, Doom, Quake kind of a modern retro shooter. And of course, I turn on masochism mode, which the game actually says you only play this if you're a masochist. So I mean, that just sounds like it's right up my alley, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the problem is that it's one of those games where all the enemies have like hit scan attacks. So like I walk into a room and all of a sudden I go from 80 to 10 points of health and there's no way to recover it. And I'm sure you can play the game with that difficulty, but it's going to be so, so mechanical. Yeah. Oh, and one of the delay was only play this if you really hate yourself. Or you're too proud to admit you're not good enough, or too proud to admit you want to lower the difficulty. I mean, I think the game is just talking to me at this point.
It is.
But
I'm sure it's not that bad when you have it on normal difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
For non-masochist.
Yeah. But I definitely want to talk more about that for another piece. So let me see. Hopefully we are live. It's always hard to tell. Yeah, there are people watching. I just want to make sure that my chat is actually working.
Yeah.
But
throw you a test down in there.
Oh, wait. There we go.
I did consultant on that game.
Yeah, move the chat just slightly down and hopefully not break it too badly. There we go. Yeah, and a lot of other demos that I've played. I like the Beaver hardcore Beaver city building one, which I finally got Power to War. Which here's a preview for when I talk about demos. If there's a feature or a system in your demo, you have to explain it to people. Like the demo just literally ends after build a food supply. Build water. Okay, that's all you need to know. Enjoy the demo. It's like, wait a minute, there's all this other stuff in it.
No, there's not. It's just water and food, right? That's all you need.
Had a lot of starving, drowning beavers after that one. We also play more of Dyson Sphere, which, as I've been telling people, between Dyson Sphere, Factorio, and Anno, I have like 3 lifetime games I don't have the time to play right now.
Yeah. When I seen Dyson Sphere, I was really interested in it, but then I seen you play it, and I quickly lost interest. Because, I mean, it doesn't look like Factorio, but better. It looks like Factorio with different graphics, which I would say are better in some ways and worse in others.
Oh, I did hear news that I think they're working on an expansion for Factorio.
It wouldn't surprise me.
So there's another, several hundred hours right there for people to play? I'm afraid to hear what's going to be in that expansion, considering how much is in the base game.
Yeah, and considering what mods are out there.
I know, they're just going to do the same thing as Dyson here. Now you can build factories on multiple planets. Let's just add infinity time to the game.
Yeah.
Let's see. Work on the horror book is coming along. I've officially hit 10,000 words. Only have about a month to type up another, 20,000. That should be safe, right?
Well, you don't want to go safe. You gotta go safely astray.
Yeah. But I think either tonight or after the demo festival, I think I'm going to do another run through of Resident Evil 4. because that is, of course, the one everybody really still enjoys.
You might want to still keep on playing demos because some of them will continue to be up.
Mm-hmm. Well, the festival officially ends on the 9th, so that seems to be kind of like our big period, but I still need to get more horror research. I'm debating doing a 2-hour run of that Medium game that just came out.
Yeah. Thing is, they need to go through the McDonald's checkout line or whatever, and upsize their combo to a large.
Mm.
Tedium.
There we go. Thank you. But let's get to our main topic, because we kind of had a little debate before, see if we can get to everything in this video or in this stream, or we have to turn this into a two-parter for next week. So our topic is talking about social systems when it comes to video games, and this extends from free-to-play mobile gacha titles all the way to live service or games as a service kind of titles as well.
Which a lot of those combo together.
Yep. And this is a very important topic. Now, for somebody like me, like, these kind of systems don't matter as much, but it is still essential if you're a developer to think about this stuff. And if you don't, it is going to come back to bite you. And I think that's where we'll kind of start our topic with. Why you need to think about social systems. The reason is that when it comes to live service or any kind of games that are designed around daily or continual play, you need to have content there for people to enjoy and consume. A live service game without content is a dead game. Mm-hmm. Because when people run out of stuff to do, they're not going to stick around.
Or live service without players.
Yep. And then there's that downward spiral effect that happens, as we've spoken about many times. Mm-hmm. The mobile game that I'm playing right now, I think what I said was Illusion Connect, I'm running into that issue. I am all out of meaningful content that I want to play, so I stop playing it daily. And then once I stop playing it daily, I lose that reason to keep playing it. And when that happens, why should I even consider spending money? Why should I give a developer money that on a game that I'm only playing like maybe 3 hours a month? The answer is you're not. So what developers have come to realize is that to make that content, to make enough content that is worthy of it on a day-to-day basis is impossible. We've seen developers try it, like DC Universe Online, where they want to have monthly expansion-worthy content. They got 1 month in, they realized that's impossible. And again, like, for developers watching us right now, live recorded, you may think to yourself, yeah, I can create, a weekly fun little event. That doesn't sound so bad. Think about doing that every week for months or years. And then the cosmic existential horror will start to creep in for you. Mm-hmm. And when I spoke with Ramin about this, we discussed this idea of user-generated content. And that's where social systems are really built around. Because at the end of the day, the people who are playing your game are going to provide you with that, not exactly infinite, but very high amount of content. And this comes in two forms. It's in the implicit kind of content, as in, I am the number one player on your server, can you beat me in it? And then you have explicitly with content where players team up. And this is where the social side comes in. Alliances, guilds, factions, any fancy word you want to use to describe it. You need to have a way for players to converse, team up, interact with each other. And this is where you get that level of content. Because a game that you are playing with friends or like-minded individuals is going to keep you far more engaged than just waiting for the next, 2 to 3 missions to drop in a month from now. And as I said, when I played Marvel Strike Force, being in that alliance, that kept me in that game for a good extra year more than I would have if I would have stopped playing it. So, for you, Shark, any social or any examples of like social games or guild systems that kept you invested in a game longer?
Well, I don't have any specific examples of the systems kind of thing, but I do know that what really kept me engaged was, um, I get into the game and, I either join an alliance or guild or I start one and, bring people in. And, being myself, I always work my way up the leader, ranks, and, either I start as a leader or I end up as the leader in the end kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm always taking, everybody in there and, telling them, giving them all this advice and everything to how to min max their things, teaching them how to be better, because the fact is me teaching them how to be better at the game makes them stronger, which makes our alliance stronger, which then everybody loves me for, which, then, they all want me to lead, and, I'm all, I'm a pretty good leader kind of
Yeah,
thing. So like, it's just, sort of self,
fulfilling prophecy.
yeah, basically, because like I'm just trying to help the guild in whatever ways I can, and help them get to where it is, and in the process I make a whole lot of friends, and then those friendships that I make, and they make them back with me and everything, makes none of us want to quit the game, because no matter how pissed off we are, we don't want to quit because we don't want to lose our friendships. So when it does come to time to quit kind of thing, it's like, let's trade contact information. Let's figure out, who, are you on, Discord, are you on Twitter, Facebook, blah 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 blah, and whatever
Yeah.
ways we can stay in contact kind of thing, and let's add each other wherever we can kind of thing. And we, kept in touch for a while kind of thing.
Yep, a lot of the friends I made were when I was playing Team Fortress and Left 4 Dead, and that those weren't even like very socially minded games. But that is one of the goals, or that's one of the more important features of social games. And what you just described there, that's not exactly, I think, developer intended. For you to meet lifelong friends and become a community like that. But is still an essential point about these social systems because, as you just said, if you are playing with a group, you're more inclined to stick it out with them because you don't want to lose those people.
Yeah,
And that has been the MO for many MMO style games. We've all seen, news reports and stories about people who get lifelong friendships or even, find their soulmate playing games like World of Warcraft, EVE Online, Second Life. And this kind of stuff, it greatly extends the amount of life a game has without, in a way, requiring as much work on the developer side compared to, again, having to make this custom content. And we've spoken before several times about, being very economically minded when it comes to what you focus on as a game developer. And the problem with content is that an hour of very linear content doesn't provide as much long-term value compared to setting up something that people will keep them invested in your game a lot longer. And these systems do just that.
yeah. I know with my game that I'm currently working on, the word of the day, Neon Continuum, the new word of the day rather. Um, it's, I am definitely intending on building those, creating those friendships to form kind of thing, and putting as many things as I can to kind of promote that kind of thing. But the thing is like you said, is an hour's worth of content is not going to get you very far kind of thing, and the social systems help you go farther. You know, I mean, we can take a perfect example of that of Discord kind of thing. Because Discord, if you just got on Discord and you weren't talking to anybody kind of thing, you could fool around with it for a few minutes, and learn it and whatnot. But, after that point, I mean, there's not going to be anything there for you unless there's somebody to talk to. And when you get into conversations with people that you enjoy talking to, kind of thing, you will stick with Discord kind of thing, and you will keep on talking on Discord. And Discord is like mechanically like one of the most hollow things there is, but socially, it is one of the most wide-reaching, kind of things. Because of all the ways they allow you to do it. They allow you to do it through text. They allow you to do it through voice. They allow you through
mobile, PC.
Yeah, they allow you through video. They allow you through screen sharing. They allow you through game sharing.
I mean, if you look at what happened the past year with the rise of video conferencing and remote learning, remote discussions, that people need to be sociable. You may not, and I think this is even something for myself as well, that even if you're not, the most extroverted person in the world, it's still nice to be able to chat with somebody. Even, at the basic level, just having a text communication while you're playing a game can go a long way towards building friendships and really helping or strengthening this game. And again, what we're talking about is not, or at least not yet, we'll probably get this in a few minutes or later on, this is not gameplay related. You're not going to get bonus experience for having a lighthearted conversation with your friend.
Mm-hmm. But there's a point here that humans as a whole are very much social butterflies. We and you may not think it, but even the most antisocial of us is more social than almost any other creature on the face of this planet, kind of thing. So even the antisocial ones of us are very much social butterflies in terms of the world, kind of thing. And our actual sanity depends on it, kind of thing. We depend on that. On that second point. I'm going to reference a movie here, an old movie that isn't well liked, but it'll get the point across. It had Tom Hanks in it. He got stranded on an island. Ring any bells?
Mm-hmm.
And he had this issue with not being able to socialize, and he had to. There's Mike with it. He had he found a volleyball, and he named it Wilson, or it named itself Wilson, but he renamed it Wilson in a different way, and then he talked back and forth with that volleyball to get that social out of him, and that was a release that helped him survive. Basically, you wouldn't think talking to a volleyball would help you survive a survival situation like that, but it legitimately would, because we depend as creatures we depend on socialization. We depend on being able to vent, being able to get stuff out. And let me tell you, if you're stranded on a desert island, you probably got a lot of venting to do.
Yeah. So with that said, let's talk a little bit more about the actual systems in play here and what you need to provide for people. Because even though the users are going to generate this content, you still need to provide them with these systems and the tools needed for it. So at the basic level, you need chat. Again, this is, design 100 here. But just about every live service game imaginable has basic chatting features, global, private, guild systems, the ability to be able to chat with people when you're not directly playing the game. And even when you are playing the game is very critical. And you can't just rely on voice, because that can also lead to a lot of issues, as we've seen with harassment, and also the fact that some people don't want to be talking and yelling at all times of the day.
Nope. Some people don't want to, talk at all. We have people that join our dev chats and whatnot, which was yesterday, and they don't want to talk on a mic. They want to
Yeah.
talk in chat and listen, with their headsets and whatnot, or speakers or whatever they have, kind of thing, and then type in chat. Where others are comfortable coming into the chat and voice chat and actually, talking, kind of thing, and both are fine. But the fact is both are fine for not all people, because some people, don't want to talk in voice. I know I used to be one of those people, because I refused for a very, very long time to ever talk in the voice chat, and it scared me, it terrified me and whatnot. And now I've gotten over that to a point, to where I can, not only hop in a voice chat with people I know, but I can hop in a voice chat with people, with like a ton of people where I don't know a single one of them. Not only that, but I could, hop in a chat, with somebody who, is legitimately famous, and have no issues, kind of thing. And, I don't just completely stumble over my words and whatnot. And, and, it takes work to get there. But my point isn't, that you need to do that. The point is you need to plan for people who will not talk in voice chat, kind of thing. They still need a outlet for their communications in a social system like this, kind of thing. If you're going to build social systems into your game, you need to make sure that, text is included.
You do not want anyone to feel forced. And that can lead to a lot of unintended anxiety for people, and is quite the opposite of making a good social system.
Yeah. And, there's another important aspect of this, to where you've got to be careful about what you encourage inside of your social systems, because that is very much, related to your mechanics of your systems and everything. Because, like, if you have nothing set to, punish people for saying racist things, or, sexist things, or any other bad
Harassment.
things. Yeah, if you have nothing in, there to stop, prevent, or punish for those kind of things, then what you're doing is actively encouraging those things to happen. Because the fact is it's like, I don't know, a social platform like Twitter actively not, caring if anybody, says anything inherently false on their platform, and, spreads all these false rumors and everything, that, then, a bunch of people buy into thinking it's a fact, which has nothing to do with somebody who used to be in office.
Yeah. And again, these like basic things you really need to consider, especially in today's market. And stuff like being able to block somebody, report. This is like the basic level that if you don't have, it is going to come back to haunt your game.
Yeah. And the other aspect is the way the mood that your game puts people in. If your game is one of these games that is very, very addictive, but very, very unfun, to where people are playing it and don't want to play it, and there's so many games out there like that are very, very addictive, and, so people are still playing it, but they don't want to play it. They want to quit. Well, guess what? Those people are all going to be unhappy when they're playing, and guess what's going to happen in your social systems when that happens?
They're going to take it out on everybody else.
And so, you need to you need to put in, you know, you need to make sure, if you want a community that is not toxic, you're going to need to make sure that the game is not creating a toxic environment, because you don't, if you make a game that is a middle of a bog kind of thing, no reference to my friend's game The Bog, but if you make your game in the middle of a bog kind of thing, you can't expect people to walk through this bog and everything and come to the meeting place in the middle, to where, you know, and everybody have clean feet. No, no, those people are going to have nasty feet, and they're going to get it all over the floor and everything else, and it's going to spread everywhere. So, you know, if you want to have clean floors, you better have a clean game, basically.
And this is also why it's very important to set up 4 different levels of play, and you really need to nip these issues in the bud as quickly as you can. Ideally, you want the systems in place before your game is officially out. Thorne and I were talking last night about trying to play a game like LoL and Dota, and how toxic and competitive that community has become, especially Overwatch as well.
Mm-hmm.
That people assume that you are either the best damn player in the world, or you're just some idiot trying to play the game. And that kind of behavior, it kills any sense of community, other than, as we talk about, you know, the super elite players.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the same thing happened with the Souls game. Luckily, they don't have an in-game communication system.
Other than just putting down little messages.
Yeah.
But again, this is how these communities get very much killed by their social systems, and also be able to set up to allow you to effectively decide who you're going to play with. And this is very important. Like, when you have games that have a casual and a competitive layer, you want to be careful about how those two intersect. If I'm playing your game casually, guess what? I don't want to hear one damn thing about competitive play. If you come into a casual game and you start complaining about, oh, why aren't you min-maxing, you should get punished for that. Just as conversely, if I'm playing a competitive level, like if this is a competitive ladder, and you start purposely messing around or trolling, you should get flack for that as well. Because, again, these are 2 separate universes within your game.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, Mike's talking a lot about censorship and whatnot. And, you know, the thing is you have to be careful on, you know, what you do. Because, you know, well, no matter what you do, somebody will call it censorship. Even if you're not censoring the damn thing. Even if you're just, you know, letting it run like the Wild Wild West, somebody's going to consider themselves censored. And,
we need to clarify for a second. Pro tip: if you're a developer trying to build a successful community, don't let it turn to the Wild Wild West. Because that is going to be, again, another thing that's going to come back to haunt you.
Yeah. And you do need some, you know, sort of control, which control, in some people's mind, is censorship, even though it's not, you know, kind of thing. If you're rating the game for, you know, ages, you know, 6 and up, you absolutely need to make sure that no cuss words come through. You know, you need to make sure that it's absolutely clean and able to support your target audience. Because if it's not, then you're in a lot of trouble.
All you need is for some child to say, I heard somebody on my game say, again, I'm not going to say a word because that'll get me in trouble with YouTube, but you know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And getting that news report out.
Yeah, because, you know, I'm sure any, you know, Fox News, CNN, anybody will be happy to report on your game and you know, tell you to get, you know, cancel your game kind of thing. Because
game teaches 5-year-olds all the racist words in the world.
Yeah.
You want that news about your game out there.
Yeah. And you know, just racist words in general, you're going to need to kill those too, because no matter what age your thing is made for, because if you don't, then you end up in the headlines like PewDiePie does.
Mm-hmm. And actually, that takes me to a question I want to ask you about. Another thing that we've seen some people argue is the kind of, I'm not sure what the term I want to use, like the unfiltered chat in games. Like you have that one spot where anyone can be as, racist, as, profanity filled as you want. And some people say they like that idea of having, the unfiltered or the blue version of your social system. I think that is just a recipe for disaster in some of these games.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I mean, the only way I would see that working is through a private message.
Mm-hmm.
Because, private message, as long as, both people are consenting kind of thing, and both people are adults, there's no issue with that. But the fact is you have to be able to confirm that they're both adults and they're both consenting, kind of thing. Because some people will private message people just to, insult them and all this other stuff, and they don't want to hear it, kind of thing. So, even with a block system, you can't ensure that they're consenting, but you can closer, rely on them consenting, because the fact is they can always block the person. If they will result to that is the question, because not everybody will block somebody they have problems with, and so it's an issue, but like, cussing isn't necessarily an issue, because like, if your game is meant for older audiences kind of thing, like maybe even 13 and up kind of thing, it's not going to be so bad kind of thing, because I mean, I'm sure any 13-year-old out there has probably heard worse words in school. So, it's not so bad, but you do still have to block the racist stuff for sure, because if you're not blocking racist stuff, then you're going down a bad path.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, here's what you never want to block. And I know some games block it kind of thing, is you never want to block anything that has to do with your game itself. Because I've had, like, I was trying to talk about, this system, and that word of that system is blocked. I tried to talk about the name of the game. The name of the game was blocked. So I can't say, the name of the game sucks, or this, or that. I can't talk about it, because all the names of the systems and all the, I can't say this system is abusive kind of thing, because I can't actually say the name of that system. So then I just put spaces in between it so that the bot doesn't realize it, and then I get it through and say this system is abusive with a lot of extra spaces in there, and it completely avoids that thing. And what I'm saying here is there's ways around those filters, so you need to already prepare for those, as well as you need to not censor anything about criticism about your game. Do not censor that, because while there's a chance you may get away with that, because several do, there's also a chance that is going to heavily bite you in the ass, and there's also a chance that your game is going to get ruined because of that.
Yeah. And to build on what you just said there about getting around filters and such, people are going to do that, and you have to be kind of a step ahead of that. Yes, you can block out the correct spelling of a swear word, but as Shark just said, you could put spaces in there. You could put additional symbols in between there. You have to be very mindful of this stuff. And another major part about this is, as we've said, you want to get a lot of the stuff figured out before launch. Have a code of ethics, or, a rules for it. You want these systems to be in place, because you don't want to be playing catch up to these problems in a game.
Yeah, and Mike says you want a safe space. Not really. What you want, well, in a term, but not the term you're meaning it in. You want a safe place for your players. You do not want a safe place as in, the people who, have eggshells for a life. You don't want that kind of safe space.
You want essentially a
Unless
place
that's
to
your
cover your
marketplace.
own butt in these games.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, putting yourself in a situation where there's a lawsuit or people can come at you. And
Mm-hmm.
like to build on what Shark said a few minutes ago about consenting in these situations, there's a big difference between somebody going on a profanity, racist, misogynistic rant on your global chat that everybody can see and there's no way to stop it, versus somebody doing that privately and said person being banned, blocked, or punished for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, as a developer, you are on the hook for everything that happens in your game, whether you like it or not.
Not only that, but if your game, you know, gives birth to this, toxic community where people are just, just going on all these racist, misogynistic rants and all that, every 5 seconds kind of thing, then you're going to have to live with it personally and sleep in it because you're going to hear that nonstop every day because you're working on that game every day and you're going to hear that constantly kind of thing. So you definitely want to be able to ban people and whatnot. And, you need, there's many different ways to do that. But you have to keep in mind that, even an IP ban isn't going to really help in the case of somebody who can swap their IP address. So, what I've done for my personal game that I'm currently making is I've set it to where you have to make an account and, the account making process does gather some information from you, including an email. So that, and it's easy to fake an email, but, it keep on going. You keep on putting these layers of something that would be a little hassle, something else that would be a little hassle, something else that would be a little hassle, kind of thing. And eventually it'll become to the point where, it's not worth it. And, another thing I have is before any of the chat systems, any of the social systems actually open up kind of thing, you have to play to completion 10 games.
Mm-hmm. And that's a really good point, and it gets at some of the protections in place. That if there are no protections, if it's as simple as just literally just uninstalling and reinstalling a game to get a brand new account or get back in the social system, your trolls and those people who are there to kind of do harm to your game, you are basically giving them a free pass to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And for general consumers, this kind of stuff is never going to affect them, or it's not going to affect them as strong as this. And you need to have these protections in place, again, in order to keep your community, keep your social systems working. Because I've seen people, and we've all have heard these examples, that, they get banned. Okay, I'm just getting another account. Or I'll just get another game key. Because the people who are going to do harm, they know how to skirt these systems.
Mm-hmm. And you've got to make it annoying enough that they don't want to skirt those systems, or at least not very many times. The other thing that we're implementing into the current game is shadow bans. And, when I say that, it sounds really bad. But basically, what the shadow bans are is basically they can keep on playing the game kind of thing. But if they're toxic and everything and they're just going to spew all kinds of toxicness, then the only chat they can talk in is a separate chat that is full of toxic people. So they get to be with their own kind. So, everybody who's, wants to spew obscenities and everything can keep on spewing obscenities to everybody else who's spewing obscenities, and they can just have this, obscenity, contest to who can spew the most obscenity of them all, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this way they're not making new accounts, kind of thing. They're still getting to spew their garbage, kind of thing. They're just doing it in a place where people who don't want to see that aren't going to see that. Mm-hmm. So they're not getting actually banned from the game. They're not getting they're not losing their privileges to say stuff. They're just losing the audience that does not want to see it.
Mm-hmm. And to Juan's point, this is why you need to have kind of that, your code of ethics or your rules in place beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like we said, ultimately, there's two main discussions when we talk about social systems and games. One is about fostering a community and allowing the users to generate content. The other side is being able to protect yourself and your game from any trouble. And again,
and your users
avoiding these issues. What was that?
And protecting your users.
Yes.
Now, when I say protecting your users, I don't mean putting them in a safe space, as Mike was referring to. I mean, as of putting them in a space that is not full of toxic assholes.
Yeah, because if you don't do this stuff, it will kill any sense of being able to grow a community.
Yeah, there's a big difference between people who want to just say racist stuff and everything because it's funny, apparently, to them, because they're dumbasses, mm-hmm. and people who, had a bad day at work and they want to vent, kind of thing. There's a big difference between those. And, mm-hmm. Just because, you don't need to censor what the person who needs to vent says. Unless the case it's a game for kids, kind of thing. In which case, you need to censor at least the cuss words, kind of thing. Just put, 3-4 little symbols there, and leave rest of it at the bare minimum.
Yeah, and that's another very major point. If your game in any way, shape, or form has content for a younger audience, ages, 6 and up, 7 and up, anything like that.
Anything below 13.
Yeah, you need to do that. Like we spoke with Ramin about, that governments are getting very more stringent and they are looking at these games very closely in terms of being marketed, advertised, or having content for kids and anyone young like that. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do that, you are going to be in serious trouble.
Yep. Governmental trouble. Mm-hmm. Legal trouble. And a lot of these things can lead to legal trouble, Mm-hmm. And we're not talking about censoring people. We're talking about being responsible, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And, which is something that Twitter, Facebook, and all these other social medias had to, have a, conversation with the, was it Congress, 6 months ago, kind of thing, about being responsible, kind of thing, because they just let anything fly. And Congress, looked at them and says, yeah, we're looking to potentially shut you down if you don't start being responsible.
Pro tip, you don't want a governmental hearing about your game.
Yeah.
Because unlike, again, that sort of from Ramin, you can't just run out there if somebody asks a question that you don't want to answer.
Yeah.
And
although somebody from EA did that, didn't they?
Yeah.
That didn't excuse EA, but it, that one person got the hell out of there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Shark, if you're in trouble, you can just swim out into the ocean. You'll be safe there, right? You can go to international waters.
Yeah. Although international waters still have walls.
Yeah.
That apply globally.
Now, with everything we've said so far, let's talk a little bit more about some of the additional systems that go into these kinds of games. So we've already mentioned stuff like chat. We've talked about, private chat. You also, since we're still on this topic of monitoring and protecting your community, let's talk a little bit about moderating systems, and then we'll talk about like guild and alliance stuff after that. But moderation is an essential part of this game. It's something Riot had to learn the hard way with League of Legends. Because as we've said before, they were the Wild West. You could say whatever you wanted. And you know what that got them? The title of most toxic and horrible community and fan base, I think. I forget what year it was, but they got that award.
And he also got China to buy him.
Yeah. And that's not an award you want to have in your game.
Yeah. And that's not somebody you want to buy your company, China.
Mm-hmm.
Or anything, pretty much.
And what they had to do to course correct was introduce moderation. They did that with their tribunal system. And also, you need to have people on your team who can monitor the stuff. Again, we've complained about Valve and how hands-off they are in a lot of their aspects. This is one area where you cannot mirror Valve when it comes to running your company.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have people and systems in place to, again, as we've said, whether it is just a slap on the wrist or a full-on ban. And like going back to Shark's example a few minutes ago, you need to have these consequences. Because if you don't, people are just going to keep doing it. It emboldens them if there's no punishment to say, scream racial obscenities for 10 minutes during a competitive play.
And let's face it, most of these people who are doing this kind of thing are like 5-year-olds kind of thing, or 8-year-olds and such. There's some of those that grew up and now are older that were, screaming that when they were 8 kind of thing. And now they're
doing it
25 and they're screaming it. But, the fact is they're, they started at the age 8 and then they just grew up still continuing that behavior kind of thing without actually growing up.
Yeah. And this is another very big point from the development side. With any live service, community-driven game, whatever, you are going to have to draw that line in the sand, whether you want to or not, about how you handle these cases. Because we have seen games that have professional esports level play have to tell, their top players, you just went on that rant and you just insulted somebody and did all that, you're banned. We don't care about your sponsorship. We don't care that you are bringing us, tens of thousands of dollars each month due to, interest. If you are going, like we've used that example before, like dropping ink into a glass of water. If you don't stop that stuff, it is going to spread to all aspects of your community. So-and-so was allowed to say this word, so why can't I say it?
Yeah, and the thing is you could punish them, or you could do like Twitch does, and if you're famous enough, you can get away with it, and if you're not, then they punish the hell out of you. Like if you show your abilities on the stream, and there's a demod probably, and you're on Twitch, if you're like, a small streamer kind of thing, you're going to be banned very, very hard. Mm-hmm. But if you're somebody that's, making them tons and tons of money, they will just be like, yeah, we'll we didn't actually see anything. We weren't watching the stream when it happened, so we can't judge based off that, or we realize they did something bad and we're going to give them a very harsh punishment of they can't stream for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah. They can't do anything for one day.
No, it'd be more like 20 minutes, because their next stream is like an hour.
Mm-hmm. And again, these are things you're going to have to deal with, whether you thought about it or not when designing your game.
At least if you're doing social systems in your game. And
which you're going to have to if you expect your game to survive, especially in today's market.
at least if your game is a live service or if it's any of those things we said at the beginning. Now, if it's a single player tactical RPG, don't need to worry about it. You don't have any kind of system to talk to. But if you have any kind of multiplayer kind of thing, you're going to have to worry about it. And there was a point that you said a minute ago that I wanted to hit on.
About the ink, or
no, before that.
About drawing the line between making money and keeping these people on?
No. Oh, I forget now. But let's see here. Now I remember. With your you don't want to take hands off with the moderation. You definitely need to have people on there. But I think you also need automation in there. You need both. You need automation for the base level stuff, and then you need the person contacts for the stuff above. You use the bots and everything to monitor chat, find the words that are questionable kind of thing, issue automated punishments kind of thing, or inquiries into punishment kind of thing. And what I'm doing with mine is basically we're having a list, 3 different lists: white words, yellow words or red words or something, and black words. Black words are just are bans, because those are somebody spewing racist, sexist things kind of thing. Those are only words they would use kind of thing. They are things that would be really bad. And then you have the white words that are in everything, and it's fine in all cases kind of thing. Doesn't mean the sentence is fine. It just means that those words are fine. And then there's the red words, which are questionable, kind of thing. And basically, if it's a black word, it's going to automatically issue it's going to pop up a thing, and it's going to say you've been issued a ban. You can either click here to appeal it, or click here to accept it. And then if they click to appeal it, it'll take them to another screen. It's like, are you sure you want to appeal it? Because if you appeal it and you're found to be wasting our time by knowing damn well that you deserve a punishment, basically, then your punishment's going to be even harsher.
Yeah, and we saw when Riot Games did their really big push to course correct, they did excuse me. There we go. They did implement tools and monitoring to make it easier. Like if somebody flags somebody in a game, the bot or their automation is going to record that game. They're going to allow someone to see whether or not that was just, somebody just accidentally, saying, whatever. Again, I'm trying not to curse. I don't curse normally here. But saying a word and then saying, oops, I didn't mean to say that, or I'm so sorry, versus somebody saying, a 300 paragraph profanity-filled sentence and completely derailing the entire game.
Yeah. And the thing is anybody who reports something and there's a punishment given, you want to inform the person who reported it, hey, your report went off for this, and we've taken action, and here's the action we've taken, kind of thing. So that they know that their reports are actually legitimately working kind of thing and helping the game. At the same time, you also want to be able to, automate things and make things as smooth as possible for the people who are working in the service. So like you said, recording the game, with mine, we're keeping chat logs kind of thing. Basically if a word gets flagged kind of thing, then it will, look all the way up to the top of where they started saying stuff, you know, at that time and moment, all the way down to the end, and he'll capture everything in between, so that there is 100% full context to what that person said. And if anybody, you know, it'll probably even capture slightly above that, just to make sure that if anybody actually called that person out, kind of thing, that's in there too, kind of thing.
And there's also another very important point, and why you also need, you know, the human element on top of the bots and the automation, because you need somebody to also monitor and make sure somebody's not abusing the system. Because we've seen cases where trolls and such, they'll set out, they'll say just enough to, get somebody annoyed or get them to say something. Then they'll report and say, oh, well, look at what so and so did. They said all this nasty stuff. I didn't do anything bad. Mm-hmm. And again, all you need is to ban or block somebody who didn't believe it or didn't deserve it, and there's another nail in the coffin for your game.
Yeah, which is also the reason why you don't want to depend on one single moderator, kind of thing. When something goes to check for, when something gets reported or something gets flagged by the bot, kind of thing, you want to send that to like at least 5 or 6 different moderators that are all looking at it independently and have no idea that the others are even looking at it, kind of thing, because they're in their little box, so they think their decision is the only decision, kind of thing.
Yeah, and you don't want just one person monitoring everything. That is another way to failure.
Yeah, and when you do it like that, then if 3 of them, if 5 of them say ban him, and the 6th person says don't ban him, and here's why, kind of thing, if they don't actually provide a legitimate reason, kind of thing, you don't want that person moderating for you. Fire them and find somebody else. You need a clean, good moderation team, not a bad one, kind of thing. And because a bad one is worse than having no moderation team.
Yeah. And to Juan's comment, and that is very true, it is very hard to be able to be objective and fair, even when we talk about game design, but that's another topic.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard to do, and that's why you need a pool of people. Because you don't want somebody, because another thing you want to avoid is, the moderator with the Messiah complex. I am in charge of everything, and you said something I didn't like or you questioned me, I'm banning you from the game.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want any rules, any stupid rules, which I've run into in a Discord before, of questioning the moderators. Because that's stupid. It's like, how dare you question my bullshit rules?
When I see like Twitch streamers who are like, oh, you said something I didn't like. Well, now I can ban you because that's in my rules, and they like lord it up over people.
Yeah, I ran into an issue on Twitch with some moderators on a very big channel, kind of thing, that I don't watch anymore, that I used to really enjoy, kind of thing. And basically, somebody came in there and they insulted the hell out of me, kind of thing. And for no reason other than, I reported somebody for bad behavior, and that everybody was complaining about. And, he came out and just, railed into me, kind of thing. And then, I was like, well, then you're might be the person who I reported. I don't even know. And, and then I got banned for that. Banned for that one sentence, that you might be the person I reported then. And then after that, I was like, was there some kind of mistake asking the moderator? Well, you're questioning the moderators. You get a longer ban. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Well, you're questioning the moderators. Now you get an even harsher ban. And then I talked to the actual channel owner after that, to fucking try to fix all this. And the channel owner says, "Well, I'd like an apology." And I was like, "Well, fuck you, and I'm leaving." Good riddance to your bull crap, because it's bull crap, and
Yep,
you don't want anything like that.
and you also this also when you're building in these tools and setting up for moderators, you need to vet those people.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely positively need to vet those people.
And you need to put in checks in there to counter, people who are, because, like, no matter how good you vet, kind of thing, there's no 100% vetting somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, even if you do 100% vet somebody, even if you could 100% vet somebody, everybody has bad days, including moderators. So you need to put checks in there in your moderators. And like I said, that's the reason why, if a report comes in our game, it's going to go to several different people, all in a vacuum on their own. And then they're all going to issue judgments. And if they're all issuing, the same judgment, then it's pretty clear that's the right judgment, kind of thing. If they're like half this way, half that way, then it's something very borderline, and probably needs to be looked at by somebody higher up. And if just one person, kind of thing, rules out differently, then you need to look very, very heavily at that one person and see if they're still fit for being a moderator.
Mm-hmm. And again, these are situations where you are, unfortunately, as a developer, as one in charge, you're going to be put into some very problematic position. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that it comes with the territory. If you want, it's the double-edged sword of these kinds of social systems, that you're going to give people the ability to communicate and interact with each other, but you are going to have to play the bad guy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
playing the bad guys sometimes is being the good guy.
Yep.
Because if you don't play the bad guy sometimes, then you are the bad guy.
Is that considered safely extreme then?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Anything else regarding moderation systems before we start talking more about like guilds and alliances and such? Talked about tribunals, or having like advanced systems in play.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You talked about that you need to automate as much as you can at the bottom level, but nothing at the higher and mid levels, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You only want the automation to be on the base level, aka, let that, handle, 90% of the cases, but the other 10% that, anybody who appeals a ban, kind of thing, that all has to be done by person. Do not do ban appeals by bot. Do not do anything like that. You need to do all appeals with human people, and it needs to be multiple human people. And the great thing is, here's the great thing: people will legitimately want to moderate for you for free for your game, because they like the game and they want to see the best come for it. So they will offer to moderate for free, and it will be considered a privilege to them, not a job, kind of thing. So
But you still need to vet them.
Yeah. So there's no reason why you wouldn't have it, kind of thing. You may have problems, at first before you have your community built, but you'll probably need to do all of that yourself for the first part. But after your community gets established and everything, and then you start vetting people, that's when you can you will have a lot of them that will be very willing to do that. On the other hand, you need to be very careful about those people, not just because of the the vetting and everything, but because a lot of places give them stuff in game for helping, which can be a good thing, but it can also be a very bad thing because there's so many of these pay to win games that just let's make the moderator the best, the number one player in the server and make him piss off everybody. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Let's just ruin our game by supercharging our moderator and never letting him do that. Number one, you don't need to have a pay to win game. Number two, you don't need to make your moderator the number one pay to winner because he's moderating.
Yeah.
Because he's creating more problems than he's solving.
Mm-hmm. And as I said a few minutes ago, I think another point to kind of clarify on, again, you need to have a code of ethics established for your game. You need to lay out to people as, clear as day. You cannot say this, and this in your title because that is against these rules. And don't be afraid to update things because as a developer, you may not think of every situation that could happen. I've had to update, the Discord rules on my thing, in my channel several times because things got annoying with spams and bots and whatnot. And don't be afraid to do that, but you want to communicate this to your fans and to the rest of this community. This is why I think another aspect that's very important. I also want to get to Cyrano's comment there as well in a second. But this is why you also need to have community managers. You need somebody who is the middle person between the team and the community to let them in on this. Especially if there are, any kind of major conflicts. Like if all of a sudden, 100 people or, several thousand people get banned in your game, you need to let the rest of the community know why that happened.
Yep. And you have to be really careful on this kind of thing because anything you do can easily spiral out of control, but you do need to add rules and stuff as stuff comes up because stuff will come up and you will need more rules kind of thing unless you make this big long legalese document in that nobody's going to read kind of thing. The thing is even laws have done that in our countries kind of thing because there's some really weird laws out there because there is really weird rules that need to be put in place. There's probably a law out there in some state, that you're not allowed to bring your cow in front of a Senate building, while from the hours of, 8 to 2 p.m. while, exclusively eating beans and farting constantly while, wearing a bathrobe and shouting obscenities. Because some person did that and there was no legal law against it. But they put in a legal law that was very specific to that one person and that solved the issue kind of thing. Because people will find ways around your rules because your rules are not all encompassing until you're willing to change them. Because when you're willing to change them and add more, then they are all encompassing because the fact is at any point, if something comes in that's out of compass, then you just bring it in by adding a new rule.
Yep. Do not be afraid to change your rules and adjust if the need comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with that, let's get to talking about alliance and guild systems. Because I think this will also kind of segue from Cyrano's comment there about integrating the social aspect into your gameplay itself. Because ultimately, this is kind of the galaxy brain form of social systems in games. And where they will kind of live or die based on this. And ultimately, your goal with user-generated content is that you want the social systems to integrate into the gameplay. Now, on my thumbnail for this week's episode, I included stuff like a raid in World of Warcraft, the guild hall of something like Warframe. And this is where you want these systems to lead. You want people to feel comfortable in, talking and building a community, which in turn will allow them to interact with each other and interact with the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where a lot, and I mean a lot, of mobile and live service games tend to go. That you'll have, the base layer of your game is, the PvE content. The next layer is, PvP, daily stuff. And then the top layer is the clan alliance based content. Because this is the stuff that keeps people invested in these games. And you have to be very mindful of how you design them. Like with Cyrano's comment about design mechanics which further collaboration and healthy atmosphere. Because this can lead to toxicity if you're not careful. Because, as we've said, a lot of these systems can become very manipulative and very harmful to your game. Rewarding somebody to log in every day, that's not too bad. Forcing them to log in and play a minimum 2 hours a day, or they're going to fall behind or hurt their guild, that's a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm. You want people to enjoy the game when they play. You don't want it to be a commitment. I mean,
Or
you want them
for not playing.
Yeah, you want them to be committed on their own to playing, not force them into it. You would want a marriage that you voluntarily entered versus one that you were held at a shotgun to forced into.
Yeah. And like personally for myself, I am becoming more and more leery and tired of daily system grinds or daily content grinds. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, anything like that, I don't want to be pressured to play your game. I'm fine with weekly, I'm fine with monthly stuff because that gives you more leeway. But I really have become, or I'm growing more and more tired of being told, I need to play your game every day, or I'm going to be at minimum slap on the wrist, or at most, banned from a guild or a clan because I'm not contributing daily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you got to be really careful about that. I mean, but at the same time, you want people to log in every day and play every day. Mm-hmm. But the question is you need to be careful how you get that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You need that thing kind of thing. You need them to log in daily. You need them to play daily. But there's a saying that it's easier to get a bear with honey than how did that saying go?
What is it? You catch flies with honey better than vinegar, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I forget the saying. But yeah, you don't want the vinegar. Don't go the vinegar way where you're forcing their heads into the vinegar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Give them the honey. Make them want to come play. Don't give them. Don't force them to play. And that will form a different community, a more toxic community if you're forcing them to come versus wanting to go. Now you can definitely do systems in there that will encourage them to come, like a daily login bonus. But don't do stuff that says, "Oh, you've got to do this right now and here, or else you're going to fall behind," kind of thing.
I think
you need stuff to be flexible. Like what I'm doing is yes, you're getting a daily quest kind of thing in Neon Continuum, but that daily quest does not expire at the end of the day. It expires once you have so many quests built up, which I don't know how much limit will be, because that will be partly based off of how much room we have on our UI. But I'm aiming for about 7 kind of thing. So if you don't play for 7 days, the 8th day when you don't play is when you lose a quest, kind of thing. But I don't know. I won't know until I get the UI done for that. But that's my aim kind of thing is you can log out for a week and you'll lose nothing as of your quest. I mean, you'll lose out on some of your login rewards, but I'm not even losing out on all of those, because what I'm doing is, if they return after a certain time, we give them prorated login rates. So like, if they have not logged in 30 days, a month, we'll call it, kind of thing, a 30-day month, or let's go 28 days, it's February. So every month's February. If they have not logged in 28 days, kind of thing, then, instead of giving them 28 login bonuses, maybe we'll give them 20, kind of thing. Because this would be something exciting that they log in and they're like, whoa, wow, that's amazing. I need to play this game more, kind of thing. And that will get them to, want to play more. They're not getting the full bonuses that they would get if they play daily, but they're getting a lot of it, and they're getting enough that it makes them really excited to want to actually really stick with the game and do daily, kind of thing, so they can get more. And if they do 2 days, it's fine. They get 2 days worth of thing. But probably if they do 3 days, they will probably only get 2 days worth, kind of thing.
And to Will's comment, basically all these topics kind of intersect with each other, especially when it comes to live service, which is something more and more, even in the independent side, that developers are considering for their games.
Yeah, I mean, all these topics have been all, branches off of the browser game conversation we had the first time, because all these conversations came up and we couldn't tackle them. And, we've had that done before, and then we just added it to the list. But this time I was like, no, we got to try it, and we got to hit all these topics right after another. And I really like it. I don't know about you guys, but I really like hitting them all like this, because number one, it becomes a lot more easy to figure out what our next topic is. And number two, it makes it more streamlined, I think, in how we talk about it. And, and I don't lose interest in the topic, because the fact is it's been a year since we talked about it. It's like, I don't want to go all into that again.
Now, I think another phrase that works when we talk about kind of gameplay system on the social side is, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
That it sounds great to tie rewards and special things to, a guild system, to daily logins, to all that. But ultimately, for this part of our talk, you don't want somebody to feel pressured, forced, or get punished when it comes to their time of play. Everyone has a different schedule that they can keep or that they're trying to keep. And telling somebody that, unless you log in at exactly 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 7 days a week, you are going to fall behind, your guild will hate you, and you're going to get kicked out, that is not going to help your game.
Yeah. And, they don't, like with my system, like they are technically getting punished if they don't log in for 30 days, kind of thing. They only get 20 days worth of reward, kind of thing, instead of 28. Mm-hmm. But it's not, the fact is most people won't see that as a punishment. Most people will think of that as a reward for actually returning, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Because, they didn't earn the thing, but we're giving them a lot of the thing anyway. So, it's meant to, build a good community, and encourage them to keep on playing, kind of thing. We're not forcing them to play. We're not holding a gun to their head or anything like that, like the publishers or, big game developers said. We didn't hold a gun to their head. We just, said that, if you don't do this, then you may not have your job and people are going to hate you. And, that may not be a gun, but it might as well be.
Yeah, and you have to be, again, really careful with how you promote or reward these systems. When I was playing Marvel Strike Force, for instance, in order to contribute each day, you needed to play enough of the daily content to get, raid tickets for your guild. You needed to then do the raid, which could take, 30 minutes to an hour. If there was a PvP event, you had to set up your team for that. You had to then fight in the PvP content. And all that basically gave different rewards, which all had to kind of be, combined and to have any chance of playing the end game of that title. And it became a chore. And that is what you want to avoid. It should not become a chore or work or a job to play a video game.
Yeah. And you have to value the player's time. Because, especially in these days, because, like, time is more tight than ever before. Because there's a lot of games and not a lot of time to play them, kind of thing. So you have to value the player's time and not make them wait through all this nonsense. Don't give them these 20-minute timers that they gotta wait before they click another button. Don't do that. Don't I mean, you can make them wait on the rewards. You can't log in for tomorrow until it's actually tomorrow, kind of thing. But you can't run a skill quest for tomorrow. You can't run tomorrow's quest today, kind of thing. You got to, you can do that kind of thing, but don't do things that are saying, oh, you gotta wait 10 minutes, or oh, you gotta wait this long.
God.
Like,
or you must log in at exactly this time period to do this kind of content.
Even though this time is at like 3 o'clock in the morning for you, and you got work tomorrow at 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere around in there.
Yeah, or like, PvP is only open for exactly 1 p.m. and to 3 p.m. every day. And, if you're actually working a job or, you have to do something at that time, you can't participate in that mode.
Yeah. The only time that kind of thing is really acceptable is when you're talking about like a Kickstarter or something, or or like a demo kind of thing, to where hey, we don't have enough people to actually play this multiplayer kind of thing, so on this day at this time we're going to turn on the servers and everybody can play on that time and day kind of thing. Fall Guys did that, many other games did that kind of thing. And that is acceptable. But requiring something that is constant like that, is not acceptable. A one-time thing, yeah, it can be acceptable. A lot of people aren't going to like it, but it's acceptable kind of thing. Requiring it as a constant mechanic of your game, absolutely no way in hell.
Yeah. And it is, I know somebody's going to ask this. It is fair to include custom or special rewards for guild and alliance play. Having your fancy guild house, or when Warframe did, it had a massive ship you could play with, and the whole team couldn't communicate with that. That is perfectly fine, but that is the bonus for this. That's not required to play, and it is also good to have different ways of contributing that all kind of lead to the same goal. Like let's say for instance that you have guild levels. Like, every level the guild unlocks some kind of new functionality. And let's say there's, who knows, let's say 15 different ways to contribute to your guild. So it's not just, oh, your guild must do nothing but PvP or we can't advance. Let's say you can get points just by doing a daily play. Let's say you get points by, being friendly to the community. You don't want things to become forced. And like I said, when they become forced, it becomes a job or work. And when it gets to that point, people will start to hate to play your game.
Now, we're not saying that you can't have requirements on stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, to get this level 70 thing, this level 70 armor, you have to run through this level 70 quest. We're not saying you can't do that, because, like, that's completely separate. Yeah. What we're telling you is we can't, you don't have to, in order to advance your social side of your guild kind of thing, to invest that kind of thing, you have to do this one thing that you absolutely hate because you don't like that part of the game.
And if you don't do it, then your entire guild is punished, and then they're going to hate you for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
If you're going to do any kind of stuff like that, reward them for playing the game the way they want to play it, and not your specific cookie cutter way. Encourage them. You want to make them want to do it, not that they have to do it.
Exactly.
Again, honey rather than vinegar.
And it is so easy, I think, to screw up in this aspect. Because this is, again, the final goal of your social systems and building community in your game. Is that you want people to be playing together, being rewarded together, and growing together. When I spoke with Ron Me about the game he's working on, that is very much what his entire game is built around. He wants communities to be spending months and years on collaborative projects that can work out for everybody. Because again, this is the content that keeps people engaged. That if you can make a game that people want to sign it every day and they want to hang with their friends and do fun stuff and get reward for it, those people are going to stick around.
For a very, very long time.
Like Ramin said, like he has something that could take like 2 to 3 years to finish.
It's a very deep thing there.
And again, when that works, your game is going. That's when we get to that level that your game is going to be printing money. That if you can keep people not only wanting to play your game, but are happy to play it every single day, you're in a very good position.
Because when people want to come back and they're not forced to come back, then people are going to keep on coming back. If you're forcing them to come back, there's going to become that point where it becomes so frustrating and they get help from somebody that just finally gets through to them to quit the damn game. They're going to quit it,
and they're not coming back.
Oh no, they will avoid it like the plague, because when they quit, they're going to suffer withdrawal symptoms and whatnot, and they're going to want to come back for the first few days. But once they spend enough time that they get past that withdrawal, they will look back at your game and be like, "Oh God, why did I even play that to begin with? That is the most shit game," and they will be bad mouthing your game from then on forward. And if anybody joins, they're going to be going to them personally and being like, "Hey, you should quit that game. I did, and I'm much better for it."
Yeah. And this is also why when it comes to these social systems, alliance, clan, and the kind that goes with it, you need to get that stuff in place as early as possible. Like, I've seen some mobile games that they'll have, coming soon, clan content. And that coming soon could be a year and a half from now. Remember, when we're talking about like alliance and guild kind of content, this is the culmination of the rest of your game. And you need to be prepared for that, because if your high level players get to the end and there's no more content for them, they're not going to stick around.
Yeah, and to Juan's comment about if we don't play Continuum every day, I'll take away your holographics. I won't just take away your holographics, but I'll take away your fulls too.
Dun dun dun. Everyone quickly say that Neon Continuum's pay to win now. And this is, again, those aspects you need to be very mindful of when it comes to your game. And as another point about this, with the whole guild and alliance system, you want to give people the tools to be able to grow, monitor, and keep things going. And that includes being able to send private messages, being able to promote people to lieutenants, captains, whatever, you also need to be able to monitor the guild to make sure that people are playing. Like, you don't want to, for instance, there are people who will join a guild and then they'll just stop playing the game.
Mhm.
And it's fair to say that, if you haven't signed on for 2 months, maybe you're not interested in this guild anymore or in this game.
Yeah. But you want to encourage them to want to be there, and so you have as few as drop-offs as possible. You're always going to have drop-offs.
Yep.
And that's a fact of life. I mean, people will play Neon Continuum and they will drop off, kind of thing. But where maybe an abusive game would have a drop off rate probably like 95% kind of thing. I want to keep my drop off rate rather low, hopefully sub 20%, kind of thing, because I want to give them a good game that they want to play, good social systems that they want to interact with, good alliance systems and everything that they will want to participate in. Good. I want to give them a lot of good things. I want to give them so many good things that it would be stupid for them not to keep on playing. And because it is just so much fun, and creating the fun, which is very, very subjective, but you want to create as much fun for the audience who plays your game. Because, and at the same time, you also want to be able to monetize that fun, kind of thing. You don't want to monetize progress. You don't want to monetize cosmetics. You don't want to monetize the play. You want to monetize the fun, kind of thing. If this is something not required to play, something that's not just something to show off, kind of thing, something that's actually enjoyable, monetize it, kind of thing. If like in my game, you're by default the neons are for your neons are blue, for the opponent's neon they're red, kind of thing. Now if you're visually impaired in some way, you have some form of color blindness or something like that, there will be specific colors for those people, kind of thing, so that they can see on their screen what each word are. But on the other hand, is there's going to be an additional, basically, cosmetic thing that people are going to have fun with by just adjusting whatever colors they want. Every color in the rainbow, they can adjust the neons. They can even adjust them to the same color if they're a masochist, kind of thing. They can adjust them, they're like, I want, mine to be black whites, and I want my opponent to be black whites, and I won't be able to tell the difference between them and I need to gameplay wise, but I'm a masochist, so I'm going to do it anyway and make them all the same color. So, and let them do that because they want black lights. Maybe they'll have them just slightly different and whatnot, but or maybe they'll have them exactly the same, but they will, let them do what they want. If they want to do one pink and one, purple, if they want to do one, if they want to do one like cyan and one like, ocean blue kind of thing, I'm all about the ocean, so let them have it,
Mm-hmm. And another thing I think it's also important to mention is you also want to be careful with any kind of locks or limitations on your social system. Some games will say you cannot start a guild until you're level 50 of 55, or you can't talk until you've hit level 40 in chat. Like, it's important to have these safeguards in place, as we said earlier, but you need to be mindful again of, is it hurting your game? And, when should people start communicating and being involved in terms of like guild and alliance play?
Yeah. You need to definitely have a lock that's long enough to keep to annoy the people who want to abuse their systems, but you want to have it short enough that you don't annoy any of the ones that don't want to abuse it.
Mm-hmm.
And level 50 sounds like it's way too long. Way too long. And it sounds like something that's, should be level 20 or below, depending on how long it takes you to hit level 20. If it's your typical browser game where you just click one button and then you wait like 20, 30 minutes and you're level 20, then level 20 is maybe too soon, kind of thing. But if it's, if it's something that takes you, like 10 hours of gameplay to get to level 20, it sounds like it's way too late, So, level 20 could mean very, very different things depending on what your game is, and how long it takes to hit level 20 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want it to be too long to annoy the people who want to legitimately play your game. And you want it long enough to really annoy and make it not worth the time of the people who want to troll your game.
Mm-hmm. And again, you need to be careful when you introduce this content that you don't want to kind of sick your community on each other. Because we've seen this with kind of PvP or guild versus guild kind of games, where all progress kind of boils down to attacking another guild. And, if you're not in that warlike mode, you're now detriment to your own guild.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't show up, you're a detriment to your own guild.
Oh, yes. Let me see. I think I'm about at the end. Is there anything else that you want to discuss?
Well, I want to go on with that topic you just talked about the like guild wars and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can definitely have that, but you have to have a system built to be friendly to your fan base kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You don't want something that's going to necessarily require them to be there at a certain time, but at the same time, you may need them to be there at the same time. Need and requires two different things, kind of thing. Like if the way you can do that is, like say that this is a guild battle kind of thing, and it can only fit, 7 players in there, but you have a 30-player alliance. So, as long as 7 people that want to show up, kind of thing, then you've got it covered, kind of thing. And the thing is as long as there's not, this major power balance in there kind of thing, which you've got to be careful about, you should be good on that. But at the same time, you also got to make it where you're not encouraging the guild to fight with other guild members, because you don't want them to be like, oh, I wanted that spot because I'm better than you. Or, I wanted that spot because I wanted the reward kind of thing. You want them, what we're doing with my game is we're saying, we're taking, the guild battles are going to take this many things. It's going to be a guild tournament kind of thing. And it's going to take like 3 players kind of thing. And, each player will play against the other guild's 3 players kind of thing. So 1v1 3 times. So when it's all done, everybody in the guild battle have fought against each other, and then we combine totals and whatnot and figure out the winner kind of thing. But the thing is, what we're doing is we're encouraging people to send the people who want to be in there / the best people, because the fact is everybody gets a reward if you win. So, not just the 3 people that went in there, but everybody did. So everybody who wants to win is going to support the best players to go in there. And of course, there will be stingy players that, that will be like, no, I want to go in there. I have something to prove. I have a big chip on my shoulder. And, those are people who clash against the community. And it's pretty safe to say that community will probably give that person a boot.
Yeah, and you also, for any kind of content like this, you should always earn something for contributing. We're not saying, the 500th place guild or member should get the same rewards as, the first place. But you don't want to say that unless you are in the top 10, you get nothing. Because that will, again, lead to that toxicity.
Yeah. And another thing we're doing is with the prizes is once you win all the prizes, there's going to be a limited number of them. You can still participate if you want to, but you're no longer able to win. Basically, the matches you'll be playing will be the buy matches. Basically, you'll be and the buy matches may be just if there's like 30 teams that want to participate, but they've already won all the project things, then they'll probably just fight against each other, and they'll have no actual effect on the actual result of the tournament kind of thing, because they don't get a score kind of thing, where everybody else does, because again, we want to be fair to everybody. We don't want people hogging the prizes, people getting all this other stuff. But at the same time, we don't want it to be automatic either. They're in a guild, so they get this reward kind of thing. And they still got to earn it. But they got to earn it without other people being greedy and stopping them from earning it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So we're not making it where they automatically get it, or where it's some kind of participation award. We're just stopping people. We're allowing people to continue to have fun, but stopping them from, preventing other people from getting the rewards kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, they're taking out the prize pool. They're not taking out a permission to enter the tournament. So they can still have their fun from entering the tournament, but they're not preventing others from getting prizes. Because, if you had the same top three, guilds in everything, then those three will get the prizes, for the top three or whatever, and nobody else will, kind of thing.
And then that can also lead to situations where those guilds basically become like basically locked down in terms of, oh, if you want to join this guild, you must have, basic party level of 2,000. You must play every day. And, if you're not able to compete in at least 7 PvP matches, we're going to kick you out.
Yeah. And, another thing is because we want the communities to actually interact with each other and play with each other and be friends with each other, we're going to keep a very small cap on the alliance size. And I'm unsure how small that's going to be. Probably somewhere around in the 10 to 15 range, because we want them to be, we don't want, 30 strangers to be in a guild. We want, 10 or 15 friends that are close knit to be in a thing, because we're not trying to make just the biggest thing. We're trying to make everybody close and friends with each other kind of thing. Again, I told you, one of our goals is to make, people friends with each other. But that doesn't mean you can't be friends with anybody else in other alliances and guilds kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you, like, as you just said there, like having like guilds and factions that have like 400 or 500 members in it, that's not really cultivating community. Because how is somebody going to know 400 other people in their guild?
They can't, because that's physically impossible. Because there was actually studies done in that you can only actually know, you can only have, I think, 30 people on your inner circle of friends, and everybody else is acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that also takes another big point. If you do have guild and alliance play, you also need to set up, again, tools for moderating that as well. Mm-hmm. Because the more people in your guild, the harder it is to keep track of it. Somebody starts, stalking or harassing somebody in your own guild.
Yeah. And you also want to make sure that that certain powers are not locked out to only leaders. To where, if the guild tournament's coming up, and now the only person who can actually start the guild tournament is the guild leader, and he's working right now and he cannot log on, kind of thing. Well, he has to either play the game at work and possibly lose his job, mm-hmm. or he has to screw over the entire guild. And you don't want something like that. You want to be able to start it up in place of him, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And you probably you just need a leadership base in there, not just, one or two, but you need a wider range of leadership positions in there so that, you have, where if the general's not there, then the lieutenant's in charge. If the lieutenant's not there, then the sergeant is. And if the sergeant isn't there, then the major. And then if the major's not there, then the whatever's after that. And, you keep on going down. And, and you can have multiple positions in each place, and and also don't make leadership like give them special rewards. Do not give rewards for that, because your guild members in your guild will fight for those positions.
Yep.
Because they want those rewards. Do not give any kind of rewards. Do not put any kind of reward system in any place in the leadership. Leadership gets the same exact thing as other people. Same thing with the founder and everything else, all of those.
You do not want to gamify social interaction.
Yeah.
Because that will lead, again, as kind of like the MO for our talk today, that leads to trouble.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily gamify, because I think you could gamify it to a point. Don't gamify it based off of stats. Maybe gamify it based off of a quest of, hey, why don't you try socializing? We'll give you this reward kind of thing. Reward them for participating in the social thing. Not a requirement, not a if you're this leader position, you get this kind of thing. But hey, you haven't really been talking with your friends, or you haven't really made friends. Why don't you take this quest of make friends, talk in chat, and try to make some friends, and they talk long enough and they get the quest, and they get a reward for doing that. You're encouraging them for positive social interactions. You're not motivating them for negative social interactions to where they're going to want to fight for a position because there's rewards in that position. You're rewarding them for interacting in a positive way rather than a negative way. And I think if you gamify positive reactions kind of thing in interactions, you'd be good kind of thing. If you gamify negative reactions, you are so far gone down that hole.
You want to only reward the player for doing good stuff in your game.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But I think with that, I do have to get going in the next few minutes. So, any thoughts to wrap up our talk on today?
I think the overall thoughts is that get them with honey instead of vinegar. You need to build your community in such a way that it will be a positive community. Because if you build a positive community, then your positive community will help you out, because that positive community will help you out by reporting the bad eggs. They'll help you out by, encouraging people to keep on playing, basically. They'll help you out in so many ways, and they'll help keep your game alive. Where when you do it the other way, they're not going to help you out at all. They're going to actively fight against you. They're going to actively hurt your game, kind of thing. So when you breed a good community, you're going to be breeding more money out of your game, basically. And when you breed a bad one, you're going to be breeding less money out of there. Now, if you have pay-to-win transactions and all that kind of, just cosmetics and whatnot, and, all that abusive stuff in there, you're going to probably make a lot of money, but you're also going to breed that bad community, which will end up killing your game. And you'll be thinking on the short term and not the long term. And I can pretty much guarantee you that, while, you can do all this abusive stuff and make, let's say $100,000 this month kind of thing, you're because you did that, you're only going to make 75,000 next month, and in 50,000 the month after that, and 25,000 the month after that, and 10,000 the month after that, and 3,000 the month after that, and your game is dead of the next month, kind of thing. Where on the other hand, if you foster that good community and you don't do the bad monetizations and whatnot, then what you're going to do is you may not be making $100,000. You may be making $50,000, but you're going to make that on the first month. You're probably going to make 55,000 the next month, 60,000 the next month, 70,000 the next month, 80,000, 90,000, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, and it's going to keep on going up. The difference between treating your community bad and the difference between treating your community good is by doing the abusive things and everything, you're going to cause your rates to go down over time. Where when you're treating, which will probably start higher and then go down lower. Where when you go for the positive community, you probably start lower, but you'll continue to go up for as long as you keep on doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because people like that thing. People are going to stick with that kind of thing. People are going to encourage others to get into that kind of thing. People are going to, give word of mouth and encourage, people to play. Because this is a great game. More people should be playing it, kind of thing. Where, the negative is going to encourage them to absolutely badmouth and encourage nobody to play. And you get enough naysayers and there's not going to be a game left, kind of thing. I mean, EA would have hit that kind of point already if they didn't have a lot of people who didn't care what anybody else says and fanboys, basically. Which, everybody will probably have a fanboy and a fangirl kind of thing. But the thing is unless you're EA or somebody else, you're not going to be able to make a living off of that. And eventually, they're going to burn enough of those fanboys and fangirls to where they're no longer fanboys and fangirls, and they're on a downward path. They are on that downward path. They're just on it a lot slower because they built up so many fanboys and fangirls, kind of thing. Because it takes a lot more to open their eyes than it does to open a general consumer, kind of thing. And eventually, they're going to burn enough people out where they cannot support themselves. That's part of the reason why they've gone with all this gambling stuff, is to make more money off of a smaller number of people, kind of thing. Because the fact is they are running out of people.
Yeah.
And once they're
and,
gone, they're dead.
Mm-hmm. And like we said, social systems are required when it comes to any kind of live service or ongoing community or ongoing engagement in a title.
Any multiplayer game.
What was that?
Any multiplayer game.
Or just any live service in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are never going to be able to put out enough content to keep people satisfied for, months, weeks, months, or years. You need to have the tools and the systems in place to allow your community to kind of do that work for you. And as we saw over the last 2 hours, it can lead to some really great engagement, but it can also lead to harassment, toxicity, and just making your community worse as a whole if it's not properly monitored or the tools are in place to kind of keep things stable. And like Shark said, that once you lose somebody because of this and word gets out, it is going to become harder, if not impossible, to keep people coming to your game. And yes, you can certainly make money and keep a game going on just a hardcore fan base for some time, but do not expect your game to grow anymore.
Yeah.
And every person who leaves, they're not going to get replaced.
Yeah. And what you said there about the hardcore fan base is you have to get that hardcore fan base before you can actually start doing that. So if you start out that way, you're never going to get a hardcore fan base to begin with, pretty much. EA, Take-Two, all these companies already have fan bases. It may not be a fan base for a specific game, but they already have a fan base. And, because they're that big name developer. Every AAA already has a big fan base kind of thing, no matter what game they release. As an indie, you probably don't have a fan base, or your fan base is really small. I know my fan base is really small, kind of thing. And if you start out bad, you're going to go from it's like if you started off on YouTube kind of thing, and you started off with, I think, like 100 subscribers, and then you just started going down kind of thing. That would not be good kind of thing. The only way that you could realistically pull off abusive practices and get away with it by fan base over a long period of time is if you did things cleanly until you got to like 100,000, and then you started doing all the abusive stuff kind of thing. Although that doesn't work on YouTube, because YouTube rewards toxicity, or else, Logan Paul would not be where he's at.
Mm-hmm. All right, but I think with that, let us wrap things up for this week. So, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. There you go. Yeah, definitely, Pony. And make sure to say Neon Continuum's pay to win. But we will be back next Sunday. I'm not sure what our topic will be, because we kind of did talk about communities. And I think it is time to have we can switch gears to another topic. We just need to figure out what said topic is. So if you guys have any suggestions, let us know in the comments, watching this live or recorded. And if you are new, be sure to join our respective Discords. You'll find them in the links below, where on mine we talk about game design and industry topics, as well as offer advice to developers.
Yeah, on mine we talk about game development and my specific game and anything that goes around it, kind of thing. And we also have dev chats on there where we get the inside look and answer all the questions, and it's like an AMA crossed with a preview and top secret stuff and all kinds of stuff, all combined into one, and some socialization, and some fun and all this other stuff. And we like clowning around, lots of clowning around. There's lots of memes that are born in those dev chats. And
if you are an indie developer working on a game, like, submit for our Wednesday night streams, as well as for our Thursday shows where we review store pages and offer marketing advice, please get in touch as well.
And also be sure to follow both of our Twitters. Mine's Nexus Games at
Nexus
there we go.
Games Inc.
Yeah, Nexus Games INC 1. And Josh, yours is?
It is GW Bicer.
And I think that's about it, isn't it?
I think so. And smash and like and do all that other stuff on our respective channels as well.
Don't you mean lick the like button? Smash the ring that bell. Smash the bell. You gotta smash it. You gotta crush it. You gotta put it in a you gotta put it in a blender.
Yeah, exactly. So we will be back Thursday around 3:30 for our indie show, and back for another episode of the Save the Extreme Cast Sundays around 4:30 ET. But I think that will do it. Anything else before we end it?
Trying to have a good day.
Hopefully you're not snowed in like I am, right?
Yeah.
I'm back
I'm iced in, but just on a certain part of the top of the ocean, just part of the ocean's iced in, at the top. But, most of it, like all the part over your area is iced in up there at the top. But, the parts down in Florida, not a drop of ice, on the ocean surface.
All right. Come back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where examine the art and science of games. Until next time, everybody, have a great night.
See ya.